morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Unlocked. I'm your host for the next 30 minutes. My name's Tracy Wilson, and it is my absolute pleasure to have you guys here with me today. Now, if you are a coach, consultant, service provider, today's show is going to be fantastic for you because what I'm about to teach you is how to basically take a 10-minute conversation with somebody, shortcut the entire process, and be able to enable you to sign on top grade clients really, really quickly. So I don't know about you, but when I learned this process, it really revolutionized the way in which I do business. And I want to show you guys what that is today and help you to do it. A couple of little housekeeping things. First thing is we are live in multiple places. So if you're watching me on Facebook, on YouTube, or even listening to the podcast right now, there is a way that you can interact with me. I've kind of got a couple of screens going on today, and I've shifted some stuff around. So I'm going to see how this new configuration goes. I will be looking over here and looking here. So if you're watching me on the live stream, you'll see me do a little bit of that. If you're listening to me on the podcast, well, it really doesn't matter because you're only listening. But after the show, like always, I'll have a downloadable document for you to use today. And this one is really comprehensive. It's going to go through every little detail as to how you actually implement this process that I'm going to teach you. There are 5 steps to it. And I want to make sure that I talk really quickly so I can get all of this done in the next 30 minutes. So if you've got any questions for me, as always, you need to type to me in the chat box, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And also just click that little button above that says StreamYard so I can make sure that I can actually see you. I'm just going to hang on over here and have a look at some of the comments. Hi to those guys that have joined nice and early. Vicky, Risa, Sylvia. I can see a whole lot of other people that are just coming up as Facebook users, so I'm not sure who you are, but welcome to today's show. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is, like I said, is going to revolutionize the way that you do business, particularly if you're a coach, a consultant, or a service-based provider. You will be able to use this if you have another type of business, but you may need to adapt it slightly. But like always, take the frameworks, take the things that I teach you and utilize those in your own business, but you might need to massage them a little bit to make them fit. So I'm going to talk you through this process that I call the rapid alignment call method. Now, this method is actually going to help you to quickly position yourself as an expert, establish what the problem is and the reason that your client is ringing you, or your potential client is ringing you, to find out whether or not you can help them, and establish really good alignment and a connection between both you and your potential client so that you're able to move forward really, really quickly. And you're going to do that within a call that only takes 10 to 15 minutes, and you're going to do it on the first call. So no more, hey Trace, can I have a coffee with you? And then picking your brain and then going away and never paying you a dime. You won't have to do any of that. This is going to help you get right to the core and the crux of what their problem is and determine whether or not you can help them and enable you to move forward really quickly. Now, firstly, before I even go into all the details, the 5 steps that I'm going to teach you, I am going to just cover off, some of the things that might happen if you don't use a process like this. And you might, some of these might resonate with you. You might have gone through some of these challenges yourself. One of them is, like I said, was like having these long-winded coffee conversations that take forever. You end up paying for the cup of coffee, and they've picked your brain, with all the things that they wanted to know, and they walk away never paying you a cent. So this process is going to help you kind of really cut to the chase and filter out any time wasters, and also enable you not to have unqualified time wasters on any calls with you. Like I said, if you don't do this, that is exactly what you're going to end up with. You also won't have enough, leads in the top of your funnel, and you're going to end up with too many objections and excuses and stalls as to why people don't want to move forward and work with you. So all of that obviously impacts really terribly on your business growth and your profit and ultimately your bottom line. So like I said, the following things that I'm going to talk to you about today, there's 5 steps to this process, are going to show you how to sign on top grade clients in a really short space of time. And this process is going to help you to build trust. It's going to help you to qualify those buyers before you even get into more of your strategy sessions with a client. And like I said, it's going to help you do it in one single call in the first instance. Now, here's the thing. People that actually use this process and they implement the rapid alignment call system that I'm about to take you through actually qualify their buyers better, and they build trust faster. And you're likely to sign on somewhere between 71 to 84% of your prospects into a high value program or service without the need to be really weird or pressure them into a sale, or have that really yucky salesy stuff that goes on in a lot of conversations. So that's what I want to take you guys through today. So before I get stuck into it, let me know if that sounds like something that you guys want to know. Is that if you could come up with a process and a way to be able to do it in like a 10 to 15 minute phone call, would that be helpful to you? If it would be helpful to you, if you're on a podcast, put your hand up and say, yeah, I would. Or if you're watching me live right now, just type to me in the chat box and let me know. Absolutely, that would be super helpful. And I will get stuck in and share with you all the elements of the 5-step process that I have. But I want to know, is that something that you guys actually want to know today? I think I'm getting, I'm getting yes, absolutely. Okay, awesome. Well, that's good to know because that's what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so the first step in this entire process is you want to understand that every sales appointment is like a Hollywood audition. But there's a real fundamental thing here, and the audition is not about you. So the first step is I want you to get off the stage and you need to get in the audience. What do I mean when I say this? Well, here's the thing, that most service providers actually start any type of sales call really nervous. And one of the things that I want to do with this entire process is like get the nerves out of the road, give you a system and a process so that you know exactly what you've got to do and what you've got to say every single time you get on a prospect call with a client. So they get really nervous and they hop on a call hoping to sign a client on in an audition style. But the thing that they really look at, that they walk into that process with, is that they think that they are the person that's being auditioned. They think that their client is ringing them to get them to audition to determine whether or not the client should work with you. Now, what I want to do is I want to flip that whole thing on its head, and I want you to get off the stage, and you are the person who's actually going to be in the audience, and your prospect or your potential client is the one that is actually being auditioned. We want them to be the person that you are trying to determine whether or not you actually want to work with them, not the other way around. So what's wrong with the current sales process? Well, the current process, if you do it the other way, is that you become the one that's actually on the stage, and you're the one trying to tap dance and show them all of your cool moves and share with them all of your skills and your knowledge, in the hope that they will think that that's amazing and that they will then purchase from you. But what that does is that actually puts your prospect in the driver's seat, and you want to be the person that's in the driver's seat right from the get-go. So the first step in this entire process, like I said, is to get off the stage and get in the audience. You're going to shift positions, and you want to do that right up. You move into your conversation with the intention that you are not the person that's on the stage trying to audition. You're actually auditioning somebody else. You are the Steven Spielberg in the process. You are the person who is deciding whether or not you want to work with somebody. So you want to be the director and shift the positions as fast as you possibly can. Step number 2 is that you are going to frame the fit. And what I mean by framing the fit is that you want to start off really strong. What most people don't do is they don't start the sales call strong. Most people actually think that they fail in their sales calls because they have a close that's really weak. And that's not true. They actually fall apart right at the beginning, in the very first minute of any conversation, because you don't start that conversation in the driver's seat, nor are you in control or somebody that is actually driving where the conversation is going. You allow your client to do that, and that's not where you want to start any conversation. So the first thing we want to do is set you up for success in the very first minute. What happens if you don't do that, when you do a really poor job of opening in your first minute, is that the prospect just won't trust you. It will take them longer to build trust. And what I want to enable you to do is build trust really, really quickly. The quicker you can build trust and position yourself, the better. What will happen if you don't do it is they're going to resist your questions and they will be hesitant to take the next step. So if you're finding that you're having conversations with people and that is the case, like they're saying, oh, I'll come back to you later, or they've got loads of objections, it's probably because you're not setting up the conversation right in the first instance. So when you lead the prospect in the way in which I'm going to teach you today, they're actually going to trust you quicker, and you're going to be able to lead them down the path for the outcome that is best for both you and the client as quickly as possible. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of a role play. And of course, it's just me doing the role play. So I'm going to be both the person who's being auditioned, so the director and the client, so that it gives you a bit of a sense as to what the script and the flow of the conversation would go. Now, there are some assumptions that I'm making with this, and the assumption is that the client has made an appointment with you. So the prospect has already made an appointment with you. They know that they're going to have a conversation with you. So the way that this conversation needs to go, so that you condense the time frame down to 10 or 15 minutes and not a long-winded 1 hour, conversation trying to convince people to work with you, it will go like this. So you're going to ring the client because they've made the appointment. You'll ring them and you'll say, start your conversation like, hey, Tracy, how are you going today? Tracy's going to say, I'm great. Excellent. Well, I've got a note in my calendar that we've got a 10-minute conversation or 10-minute call right now. Is that right? Are you good with that? The client's going to say, yes. You're going to say, okay, so we've got 10 minutes because then I've got another call straight after you and we need to keep to time frame. Is that okay? The client's going to say, yes, sure it is. Right, thanks for that. So my job today is really, really simple. In today's conversation, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions to work out if I can and how I can help you. And if I feel that I can't, I'm going to let you know, and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. And I'll point you in the direction of somebody else that may be able to help you. If I feel like I can help you, then we're going to book in another time to have a chat about how I can actually do that. Is that okay? The client's going to say, absolutely. What you've done in that very, really short 1 minute introduction is set the scene and provide you with the opportunity to kind of go, hey, we're at our 10-minute time slot. I've got to jump off this call and jump on another one. So it will mean that you're not going to be on a call for, an extended length of time. And it will mean that you're able to get off really quick and be able to determine whether or not you are a good fit for that client and that client is a good fit for you right from the get-go. So what I want you to notice, what did I do in that really short space of time? So 60 seconds. The first thing I did is I took the lead. The second thing that I did is I set a time frame. And the third thing that I did is I set the conversation. So making sure that, I'm telling them whether or not they're going to be a good fit for me or not. And the fourth thing we did was we established that we're going to be asking some questions. So they're not going to be, put out by the fact that you're going to be asking them lots of questions to determine whether or not they are a good fit for one another. And then fifth, you introduce the takeaway, the fact that we might not be a good fit, and that's okay. That gives you a way to be able to get out of the conversation should you feel that this client is not a good fit for you, because sometimes the client will be like, I really, really, really want to work with you, but you'll be thinking in your head, they're not a good fit for me. So by positioning it up front in this way with this process means that you have a way out and you also have a way in. And then 6, you've also agreed on the next steps if you are a good fit. And like I said, the next step is that you are going to book in another time to have a further conversation about how all of that works. So you've framed that fit really clearly in your first 1 minute. That 1 minute or 60 seconds of your conversation can make or break your long-term relationship with the client, and because it's going to determine whether or not you're going to be working with them from the outset. Okay, step number 3, this is super important. I'm going to give you 6 questions that you are going to ask in step number 3. Step number 3 is you want to dive deep really quickly. So I mentioned this. I mentioned this on a call on one of my episodes a week or so ago. But it's been said that the best salespeople in the world really have 2 distinct abilities that are really polished over and above anybody else. And these 2 things are their ability to build trust fast, and the second is that their ability to qualify leads better. So this process that I'm teaching you today is going to help you do both of those things. So the rapid alignment call system does both, and it allows you to go really deep really quickly to decide whether or not they're a good fit for you. These are the 6 things that you need to know. So if you don't already have a pen and paper, you want to get one out, and you just want to write these down. The reason I'm getting you to write them down is because you are more likely to actually absorb what I'm talking to you about today, and it will sink in better if you write it down, even though I'm going to be giving you a downloadable document after this. I want you to make notes of these. So the first question you want to find out from them is, why now? What's going on in their world right now that is causing them to have this conversation with you at this time? So it might be that they've been thinking about, hey, I've got some skills and I want to go in a different direction, and I'm just not sure how to do that. It might be that they're ready to take the next step in their business. Whatever that reason is, you want to know why is now the time that they're having the conversation with you. So why now? What's going on in their world right now that has brought them to the point where they're having the conversation? The second thing you want to find out from them is, why me? So why are they having the conversation with you right now? Why do they think that you are the person that can help them? And let them tell you why they think you are the person that is going to be able to help them. As I go through these, you're probably going to have these aha moments of, oh yeah, because when you do this process, there's no salesy stuff in it at all. In fact, the client is selling you on selling themselves on why you are the best person to work with them. And they might say things like, well, you've been referred to me by somebody else. I've seen some of the stuff that you've been doing. They're actually going to reiterate in their mind why they are having the conversation with you in the first instance. That is super, super important, that question. The third thing you want to know is the gap. So what's the gap in their own reality? So what's the gap in their reality where they are right now and the results that they want? We call that like the disparity gap. So where are they right now and where are they trying to get to? And in that gap, that is what the piece that you fill in. That is the reason they are coming to you, because they cannot see for themselves how to build the bridge from where they are right now to where they want to get to. So that so getting clear and understanding what is their current reality and what are they trying to get to is also super important. And you'll see why when I get to some of the other things I'm going to talk about in today's conversation. The fourth question you want to find out is, what is broken? So what specifically is broken, missing, or not working? Quite likely this may not be your client's first rodeo. They may have tried to do the things that they're calling you about, 1, 2, 3, or potentially 8 times. If you are a fitness or a weight loss coach, there is a statistic that says that women usually try about 8 different diets a year. So that is a massive statistic. So it's likely that, people that are ringing you have probably tried to do things themselves. They've tried working it out themselves before, or they just don't have the time. The time would be missing in their day, or they've got something that's just not working. And that's what's brought them to having the conversation with you in that moment. So you really want to understand what that is. And then fifthly, you want to know, what is it that they need, and what do they want help with? What specifically do they need help with? They're going to rattle off all the things that they need specific help with. Again, these questions are going to help arm you with the things that you need to overcome any objections down the track. Number 6 is, You want to know what's the priority. Like, is this a tomorrow thing or is this a today thing? So how urgent is this in their world? So are they just fishing around for, they might do this in, in 6 months' time, in a year's time, or is this something that is really on their agenda now that they want to make a change in? And what you're trying to determine is that it's actually a today thing. So again, you're in these questions that you're doing, you are collapsing the time frames for them in their mind so that it becomes more important for them to make a move with you today. Now, in all of this, there's no pressure required. This is simply you asking and fact finding and getting your client to actually talk to you about where they're at and what their current situation is. So you should never, ever feel like this is a real salesy process, because it's not. And if you do it right, it will never feel like that. And you won't have to do any hard sell or pressure anyone. And if they're not a right fit, well, of course, you don't have to invite them to take the next step with you. You simply then say, look, based on our conversation today, it's not a right fit, and you can refer them to somebody else that you may know that would be a really good fit for them. Okay, the fourth thing in this process is you are going to pinpoint the problem. This, again, is really important, because all of the things that I'm talking to you about in this entire process, like I said, is going to help you to build trust really fast and also enable you to determine whether or not they are a good client for you. So, one of the things that I wanted to discuss today is like pinpointing the problem. But a lot of people, what they do is that they will go straight into prescription before they actually diagnose the problem. And that can be really, really dangerous, because you end up giving somebody a prescription that is not right for exactly what they're looking for. Hence, the 6 questions that I just talked about are super important, because it will help you to diagnose what their problem is first and then prescribe what the next steps are. There's obviously some really big consequences of not doing this the right way. So how do you pinpoint the problem? Well, if you first pinpoint your problem, you become the asset for them. You become valuable, because you have the answers potentially to the problems that they have. So you want to know what those are. And the questions that I mentioned to you that you could ask them will really help you to pinpoint what that problem is, and you become the solution to that problem. Remember, you might have been watching an episode, I think it might have even been last week, that I mentioned Wright Woodsmall, and he was somebody that said that when you can articulate a person's problem better than they can, they automatically and unconsciously credit you with knowing the solution. So this process is going to help you to do that. So the process is really simple, and if you get them to list their top 3 problems and the impact that each of those problems are having. So what you could say is something like this. So it sounds like your top 3 problems are blah, blah, blah. So you want to cover off, you want X result, but your obstacle is. So if I used the weight loss industry as an example, so you want to lose weight, but your obstacle is you don't know what to eat and when to eat it. Is that correct? And they'll say, yeah, I just don't know how to, I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know what's right for me. You also, and you have a problem, and that is costing you, and the impact of that is blah. So you're going to frame your summary of what they have described to you in the questions that you've asked them in this manner. So you're going to come back and you're going to reframe it so that they understand, that you've understood what you've articulated to them, and you understand exactly what they are talking about. And then secondly, like I said, like Wyatt Woodsmall said, that if you can articulate it back to them, they will unconsciously credit you with knowing the answers to their problem. So, and the last question that you're going to put in here is you don't have a desired thing and it's hurting you because. So all of these things that I'm talking about today, guys, don't worry if I'm going like deep and you're not understanding all of the little elements of it. I've got a workbook that you can download after the show, and it goes through all of these in detail. So the fourth step in the process is to pinpoint the problem. Okay, step number 5, and the last step in here, is to determine whether are they in or are they out? Is this person actually a good fit for you? If you do this process correctly, you will know whether or not is this the sort of person that I actually want to work with? And if they are a good fit for you and you are a good fit for them, you are going to tell them. So you're going to tell them that, hey, based on our conversation today, like I said right at the beginning, our conversation was to determine whether or not I could actually help you and how I could help you. The good news is I can actually help you. So you're reiterating to them that you can help them and that the next step would be blah. If they are not a good fit for you, you can say the same thing. Like I said right at the beginning of this call, was to determine whether or not we're a good fit. And based on our conversations, I don't think I'm the best fit for you based on your current needs and your current situation. So what I can do for you is I can refer you to blah, 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 or give them some steps that they need to take to go away and get themselves in a position where they are ready to work with you. So you can kind of tailor your closeout in a way that is going to work for you and your business. So either tell them they're not a good fit, and you will usually know that based on whether or not their values are aligned to you. Are you getting a sense that they're going to be a good client to work with? And if they're not, you're closing the door, there and then, and referring them to somebody else if you know someone. Or if they're not a good fit and it's just not a good fit right now for you, then you can tell them what the next steps there would be. Or if they are a good fit, like I said, you're going to say, hey, sounds like we are a great fit for one another. I can actually help you. Here's how. Let's make a time to go into this in a lot more detail right now. So when would be a good time for us to have a further conversation? And you can jump on another call with them if you need to. Or what I do in my process is I take them to the next step straight away, where they book in a strategy call. That's a whole nother training and a whole nother process, which I can share with you on another call. But I take them from there to a paid conversation where I'm giving them a whole lot of strategy and a whole lot of information in a written report, which is the process that I take. But in that process that I've taken you through today, guys, which is the 5-step process, is going to help you to reduce the amount of time that you spend on a call with somebody and qualify your buyers in either 10 or 15 minutes if you stick to the script. If you veer off the script, it might take you a little bit longer, but this is giving you a framework to work with, and the script is in the documents that I'm going to provide you with today. So this can enable you to sign on, like I've signed on $100,000 deals by using this exact process, equally 20,000 and so on and so forth. So if you use it, adapt it to your liking. But I would recommend that you use this process as fast as possible, particularly if you are a coach, consultant, or service provider. It really will help you to, to shortcut and sign on clients in a really short space of time. So heaps of information in today's session. Like I said, as always, we'll have this as a document that you can download. If you are not in the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life, you need to get inside that Facebook group, because that's where we share a whole lot more information and shows on how to thrive in your business, in your life, and with your family. And that's also where all of my free downloadable documents are kept. Lots of my clients pay a lot of money for this stuff, so I'm sharing a lot of this information with you guys absolutely free. So I would highly recommend that you take advantage of it. So get yourself inside of the Facebook group, Success Secrets for Family, Business, and Life. And if you found this useful, then go and tell all of your friends to join the Facebook group so that they can also get this valuable information. It is free to join, and you can just jump in here and start the conversation with a whole bunch of really awesome, skilled, and a lot of people in here that have got massive expertise. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. That is how you sign on clients in a really short space of time. You've been watching The Unlock Show. I'm going to be back here again on my Friday, your Thursday if you are in America. And I look forward to seeing you guys again very soon. I know it's my privilege to have you guys watch the show, and I take that very seriously. And I thank you for being here and watching today. So have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you guys again on an Unlocked show, living your life unlocked sometime soon. See you soon. Bye.